Hi everyone, Jill Mathis here with another video for Photography Concentrate. Where I am now, we've already started our second lockdown as of a few days ago. And while you might not be even near that level where you are, it would probably be a good idea to get in the mindset. I've compiled a list of 10 things that would be especially useful for keeping those creative juices flowing during the lockdown. Or actually, it'd be good even if you're just needing to jumpstart your usual routine. So let's start with a couple of money-making ideas that, while maybe not the most creative, will keep your mind on photography. I found that even reading up on things like technical manuals helped me stay focused on photography as opposed to letting my mind drift to things less helpful. I recently did a video for you guys on stock photography, so check that out for help on how to start, and in particular, how to start with the one agency I actually believe is worth it, Stocksy. Just having a goal in mind, uploading to a stock agency, can really get you out of the doldrums. Start with old photos and work your way up to the present time. This will give you an incredible amount of insight on how you've changed and grown as a photographer. Oftentimes, you'll even unearth some real gems that maybe in the beginning your editing eye wasn't yet sophisticated enough to see. Besides the possibility of earning a bit of money, going through the editing process can also help you get a bit more organized. Arrange your photos into better files, such as by subject matter or whichever criteria fits your needs. For example, my commercial work, I'd originally kept things organized just by client name. But with the extra time on my hands in the last lockdown, I went through and added keywords and did subfolders based on subject matter within each client file. I've never actually bought or sold anything on eBay, but I've certainly coveted from time to time the deals some friends of mine have gotten on equipment. Now, we're all guilty of having some pieces sitting around collecting dust, so now would be the time to get them out and put them up for sale. While you're at it though, take the time to check everything you own and do some thorough cleaning. I'm terrible about putting that off, and more than once I've found myself the night before a shoot going through things and doing some last-minute hurried cleanups. And since we're on the subject of selling things, if you're already an Adobe whiz, another way that I've seen people are making some money is by doing retouch work. I read that sites such as Upwork or Fiverr are good places to start selling your services. I just now Googled freelance retouching jobs, and there are quite a few sites where you could offer your particular expertise. There's Guru.com, Freelancer.com, PeoplePerHour.com, Indeed.com, and that was just on the first page. And while you have everything out and cleaned, why not really start learning what all those extra things are in your menu? Olympus Cameras sent me the OMD when it came out a few years ago, and while I really only shoot with a rangefinder, I had a lot of fun playing with it. But wow, I was literally overwhelmed with all the stuff you could do and change within its extensive menu. So make a pact with yourself and stop shooting with your cell phone ever, and start depending more on your camera, even for just fun family shots. Set goals for yourself. Learn how to do great panoramic images if your camera has that setting. Pick and use each of the camera's filters for a day or so. Practice using your spot meter if you aren't set to that already. Absolutely, practice using and getting quick on the manual setting. I don't ever use fast action settings, but it was great learning how it's done and playing with that feature. See where your camera stands when you're shooting in low light or when shooting into the sun. And master the depth of field, especially if you aren't used to shooting manual, and see what things look like when you stop down all the way. And something I always have my workshop students do, pick a fixed lens and stick with it. Now, if you don't have a fixed lens, then set your camera on, let's say, 50mm, for example, and don't move it from there. This is a great way to get your eye and mind to start figuring out, in a creative way, how to get certain shots. This exercise takes us back to Michelangelo in a way. Take, for example, the David. Michelangelo started with a block of marble, but there are veins of color even in the whitest of Carrara marble. So he had to sculpt around and make adjustments as he worked. Solving problems that result from limiting your focal length is one of the best ways to really learn about photography and get your brain and eye to start creating your own masterpieces. Since we're on the subject of learning new things from your camera, how about learning new things from Photoshop or Lightroom? While I'm far from being a Photoshop or Lightroom expert, I actually rely on the woman at the lab who actually is one, I certainly know my way around both programs. The thing is though, there is so much to learn, and so now would be a good time to just jump in and start clicking on all those symbols and see what they do. For instance, I always used to use the clone tool when I had to do any retouching, but the healing brush tool can be really useful in large areas like skies. Or how about that content-aware move tool? I wouldn't use it in my own photography necessarily, but it is amazing. I've decided that I'm going to learn how to use some of the great text placement tools that Photoshop has. They've been around for years and I've never played with that feature. Stepping out of and into a new genre is a great way to shake things up. For instance, my commercial work is industrial sites and my artwork is based on etymology. So something I think I'll start trying to learn how to do is something completely on the other side of the photography spectrum. And that's dogs. We recently got a puppy and I couldn't wait to start making all these great photos of her. Well, she's been with us now 3 months, and let's just say I've developed a real appreciation for those pet photographers out there. It's hard work getting those shots. I'm going to start reading up on how they do it and see if I'm up to the challenge. To be honest, I'm guessing I'll be still learning long after we're out of the lockdown. Whether you are into trying a new genre or not, this next tip is something that should be practiced at some level all the time. In fact, it should actually be put into place as your modus operandi. In theory, it's an extended version of something I always try and teach in my workshops, and that is just slow down. For this tip, try it like this to really bring home the idea. When you have your subject in front of you, actually physically set a timer for 1 hour. It doesn't matter if you'll be shooting a puppy or a flower or doing some self-portraits. Don't let yourself be distracted for a solid hour. Even if you think you photographed what's in front of you from every single angle, just stay there and observe. Maybe the light will change. Maybe another idea will pop into your head. Maybe that last shot as the timer goes off will be that perfect image. This next tip is something I learned when I worked for Ralph Gibson, and it uses a timer too. This is something he often did with his own work and highly suggested it to me. Take one of your recent favorite photos, or even one not so recent, and set another timer and just sit there with your photo. Think about why you like it. Think about what you don't like. Think about what you were feeling or experiencing when you took the photo. Would you take the same photo today if you could? Would you have done something different then, or can you make some changes now? Think how you'd like to see it framed if you were to print it. This strategy goes against today's norm, where everything is looked at quick and filed away. Even today's norm when dealing with people is somewhat like that. You base all on what you think about that person on a quick glance. but how many times have you been wrong after you got to know someone? I know a couple of my close friends were people I thought were either snobs or uninteresting until I spent some time with them. You'll be amazed what you can discover if you do this with a photo. You really do owe it to yourself and to your photography to actually spend some time getting to know your own work. Another thing I talk about a lot is the importance of having a goal in your photography. Sometimes it's sufficient enough in the beginning to just set a goal about learning, but after you've reached a certain level, you need something more, or you'll start to get bored with your work and photography in general. The solution to this is to begin a series, a body of work that has a common thread where one photo works off another and there is a symbiotic relationship between the group. It doesn't matter if the common thread is a certain subject, like a puppy or your own hometown, or a certain compositional style where you, for example, focus on geometric shapes, or you decide to create a body of work to express an emotion. The important thing is to decide on an idea and follow through with it, instead of just taking random photos of whatever comes in front of your camera. You'll begin to start thinking about it even when you aren't photographing, and you'll start using your head to work out the problems of creating a series. If you're needing some inspiration for starting a series, or you just need some ideas to get you out the door, there's no better place than having a look at the masters. Not Instagram photos, not your Facebook feed, but at the established photographers who have been working in the medium for 30, 40 or more years. Not some influencer who takes 500 photos in a day and gets a handful of good ones by chance. I've done 2 videos for Photography Concentrate on the masters, so you could start there to see which were the ones who had an impact on my work. If you like doing portraits, start looking at the old-timers like Irving Penn or Richard Avedon. Landscapes? Start with Franco Fontana and work your way to Gursky. See how these guys tackled the issue of creating a cohesive body of work, which was one of the main reasons they had any staying power. Or just look and let your mind wander as you learn about the history of this amazing medium we all practice in one form or another. The best tip, though, of all, is to remember that you can always connect with me and all the other members in the Facebook Mastermind group at any time. Drop me a line and let me know how you're doing and coping in this crazy period. Any questions or comments, just post them in the group and I'll get back to you right away. Now stay safe and have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.